and is embossed with the image and likeness of God. And you know what? It's the only consistent position to have. We're against killing babies in the womb. We're against killing babies outside the womb and adults. But you see, the pro-aborts, they're only against killing abortion providers, and they're in favor of killing innocent children.
Right. You have to understand, if there's other guys like this out there thinking that this is a good plan, and understand, we were the ones who did the interview with Paul Hill, and Paul Hill knew that this is how I felt about it. That you might make the argument that, for example, the Monday after Tiller was shot, then he didn't kill any babies.
Right.
That's right. But what we have to understand is that when any one of us does something that harms the pro-life movement, and let's say that
That's exactly right.
we do something that harms the pro-life movement, even to the extent that the day that abortion is going to be ended, and it will be ended one day, the day that it's going to be ended, the harm that we did caused it to be ended one day later, we killed 3,300 babies.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If we just, every day that we extend it because of something we do stupid, or something that we don't capitalize on an opportunity, then every day that we extend abortion, we kill far more babies than we saved in situations like this.
Look at the polling data. We talked about this last month. The pro-life position is exponentially further than the pro-abortion. We're 9 points ahead of those who would self-identify as pro-choice. What Tiller does, late-term abortions, 93% of America disagrees with him. It's only the 7% position. In all of Europe, there's not one European country that has late-term abortions.
That's why they come here.
That's why they come here. They just don't have it. This abortion clinic was closing, and what this act of violence has done, as you said, Mark, is set the pro-life movement back, because it gives ammo to the pro-abortion side to beat us over the head with.
Well, let me tell you something. I can assure you that in churches, the following Sunday after Tiller was shot, he was shot on a Sunday, so it wouldn't have happened until the next Sunday these discussions were held. There were people hammering on the pro-lifers in there, and there were other people in those churches who would have stood up for the pro-lifers, except it made it look like they were standing up for the guy who shot Tiller. And so they kept their mouth shut.
Yeah. I bet you there were sermons being prepared that Sunday for the following week to preach a pro-life sermon that were then canceled and shelved forever.
Right, exactly. That's right.
I know one pastor was very, very perturbed by it. Luke Robinson said he was perturbed when he found out that Tiller belonged to a church. He said then he was shocked when he found out this guy was serving in the church. He said, I am going back, and I want to make sure what my members are doing. He said, because, he said, we got to understand as pastors, we get held accountable for our members' souls. Like a lot of times we worry about the soul of Tiller, and it breaks my heart, because here you got a guy, I don't think there was no last-minute conversion. A bullet does its job very swiftly.
Right.
And however, whoever God put in charge of that person, his soul is in jeopardy too. Every pastor's a shepherd, and we have to warn people. If we don't warn them, then it's our blood that's on the line. If we warn people and that they don't do right, well, they still might lose out, but at least we save ourselves.
Troy,
we save
that
ourselves.
pastor at that Lutheran church where Tiller was serving, is that the chaplain that prayed over the babies before they went in the incinerator?
No, and we've talked a lot about the religious left. I mean, and you bring up a point here that there were people, pastors in that community, and I put that in parentheses or in quotes, pastors that would come and baptize these babies after Tiller would abort them, and they would have memorial services.
Yeah, they had a picture, the pastor's face on the website and said who they were.
Well, they used to put actual pictures of the babies.
I have them from his presentation 2 years ago
Isn't there a
on
blog
YouTube.
out there now that actually shows this mother, and she apologizes for looking happy and smiling, and she regrets it now?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very gruesome, ugly.
Years ago, and people just didn't want to believe it. They didn't want to believe that Mr. Tiller has a full-size crematorium on site, and after the baptism, he would then cremate these babies and sell the moms the ashes in a keepsake urn.
He didn't even give them to the mom? Just sold them?
No, it's an upsell. Like you go to McDonald's, you want fries with that?
Super size.
Yeah.
Obviously the guy was a monster. I mean, and they're...
It's a tragic story all around. Because
Well,
he was a
and
monster,
here's the thing that,
but yet he didn't deserve to be shot and killed.
Well,
And that's,
whether he deserved it or not is beside the point. This guy that did it wasn't the one chosen to do that.
But no one deserves to be shot and killed. No matter how horrible you are all made in the image of God, no matter how far we've strayed. And so I think that's the point that the pro-life movement needs to be hitting, is that.
But what we need to
This
but
is
what we need to
wrong.
understand is that by shooting this guy, he made a hero out of him. Because I'll tell you something, a week before Tiller was shot, an hour before, there weren't that many pro-aborts in this country that were fans of Tiller's.
no.
On our forum, of course, we had over 1,000 people go to our forum the day that Tiller was shot. I mean, it's unbelievable. Normally, if you go on that forum, you'll see somewhere between 2 and 10 or 12 people on it. We went on there and there were 35 and 40 people at any given time talking about this. And there was several of them on there that were pro-aborts who were saying, look, I didn't like Tiller and I didn't like what he did, but he shouldn't have been shot. You know, that sort of. So Tiller was no hero until he got shot. And so what this guy did is not only did he set the pro-life movement back, but he gave the pro-aborts another martyr to hold up and say, oh, what a wonderful.
There's no doubt about that. They're going to be handing out, the pro-aborts going to be handing out St. George memorial
There's going to
plaques
be a memorial built for him.
for eternity. He's going to be the hero of the pro-abortion
And it
movement.
falls right in line with the terrorist labeling the Obama administration has given us.
Sure.
It's unbelievable. And I tell you, another thing, and we're about out of time for this, so we don't want to get off too far on this, but it also exposed the just utter hypocrisy of the American media. The Monday afterward, you have a man in Arkansas, an American soldier in uniform, shot and killed in front of a recruiting station. Got almost no press. Compared to this, they didn't make a hero out of this soldier that got shot. Of course, they didn't need to make a hero out of him because he was one. But
It just shows the breakdown of our society.
yeah,
I mean, that's what we need to talk about.
let me
is
just say this.
The
I
utter
don't-
disregard for human life.
We're almost out of time. There are those that have been telling us from the left that we need to tone down our rhetoric. We need to stop calling abortion murder. We need to stop saying abortion is a Holocaust. We need to stop comparing abortionists to those who kill thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I'm not going to do it.
No,
because
absolutely
it
not.
is the truth. I will not back down. I know that Eric Holder would like to investigate the pro-life movement and throw all of us in the can. They'd like to shut us down. I will not back down because the babies' lives are too important.
And don't
We're
forget
here
the
to stand
women.
for
We didn't hear any news media when women died that Tiller killed.
Laura
but
Hope Smith was killed in an abortion clinic in Hyannis, Massachusetts, and they wouldn't even print her obituary.
Wow.
And Tiller is shot, and it's worldwide news.
Tiller kills little Kristen Gilbert, a 15-year-old girl with Down syndrome. The press won't even touch it. And this issue, this particular subject, and just it's almost like God's hand was in this. This poor man gets killed the next day, and they totally dismiss that. And when they do cover it, they always make a point of saying, "Oh, and let's be sure and understand now, all Muslims are not like this. They're not violent." They don't say that about pro-lifers. They say just the opposite.
And we send people out, Eric sends people out to protect other abortion facilities and not to protect recruiting officers.
Yeah.
What about protecting pro-lifers? How many death threats have you gotten?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
have you got the federal agents?
I mean, there's
protecting
Not even
crazies
one. Not
and there's
even one.
extremists on both sides, and so I
we've
think
got-
we forget about that.
I saved some of them on the quarter up there, and probably there's some of the same people that have called you. We've got death threats and vile pornographic things, and I haven't
Are
heard from.
those same people that were hunting Eric Rudolph? Are they here? Are they out here surrounding the deal,
They're not going to
protecting?
be. They're not going to. I wrote a thing on our blog about this. We remember the Clinton-Reno situation. This is Janet Reno and Bill Clinton all over again. This is the same.
Eric Holder worked for him.
Yeah, right.
You know, if there's 150 million pro-lifers in America, that means that this person is representative 0.0000000015% of the pro-life community. Infinitesimal.
Right.
And we don't know he's pro-life. None of us knew anything about him.
Well,
he wasn't
I didn't know
affiliated with
anything about
anyone.
But anyway, I think the point that you made a moment ago is something I wanted to say and I'd forgotten. It's over. We move forward. We march forward. But we cannot let this set us back. And I did a radio interview the next day, and I said something about abortion being murder, and this interviewer said, "Don't you feel like you need to, especially at this time, back off?" I said, 3,500 babies don't want me to back off
We
today.
cannot be apologetic for our beliefs and what we
absolutely
do.
not. We march forward. This doesn't, it does set the pro-life movement back, and how many days at the end it extends abortion, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no way of knowing that. But again, we all have to be cognizant that the actions that we take have consequences. And if the consequence is that we extend abortion by 1 day, we killed 3,300 babies. Or whatever the abortion rate is at that time. It might be 10,000 by that time, who knows? If, you know, the way Obama's going and fixing to start using federal dollars to pay for abortions. Yeah, so we have to be cognizant of that at all times, and that goes to a lot of different issues, this infighting that goes on in the pro-life movement and all this other nonsense that happens. Just remember, that has consequences. Thanks. Now let's check in with Father Frank and Janet.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to be with you, friends. Janet Morana, our Executive Director at Priests for Life, joins us as usual. And if you saw last month's Life Talk, you'll remember we had an interview with Kathleen Fitzpatrick, a brave young woman who chose life, though it was an unexpected blessing. Her parents are going to be today's interview, and what a great example, like so many of you who are pro-life families, pro-life parents, how they dealt with the situation when it came right there at home to their own doorstep. Janet, this is a really wonderful example.
It is, and in particular, if you notice, it's how the whole family pulled together. First of all, when they first heard the news of the silence, crying and supportive and just being in the moment together, you know, and then moving on from there. It's very inspirational. So let's take a look right now at this interview with the Fitzpatrick family.
When you hear this news, it's just a stunning moment in your life. You know that your whole life is just changed. Not only Kathleen's life,